So hi Mark,
Hello.
you're Director of Beehive and Be Safe Safety Culture, and this is Mental Health Awareness Week with a focus on kindness. Now you trained to be a licensed facilitator of For Mental Health's suicide awareness workshops.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to do this training?
I did the suicide awareness and I did the emotional resilience, and one of the motivating factors for me was that I have two sons in their early 30s, and the figures around suicide are absolutely shocking. In 2018 there were 3 times the number of people took their own lives as were killed in road traffic incidents, and a disproportionately high number of those were young men. So my children, what could be better motivation? There have also been times in my life when, probably around the age they're at the moment, where I found it really difficult to express myself emotionally. So I know that that's been a journey for me, and there have been, well, there's one particular occasion, but there have been several occasions where I've had to really draw deeply on my emotional resilience. So any way in which I can increase my knowledge base and help and support other people seems the right thing to do.
So how is it relevant right now?
8 weeks into lockdown, I probably has never been more relevant. I know how frustrating it is for me being in lockdown. Work is very quiet. Our work is normally face to face. I can only imagine what it's like for somebody on the 20th floor of a tower block in a city. I take my hat off to all of those people that are going into work, the delivery drivers, the power sector workers, the supermarket workers, the frontline health service workers, who I give thanks to every single day, and thank you for carrying on. That requires a degree of emotional resilience. There are people who are isolated at home, there are people on furlough, there are people who are actually unemployed through no fault of their own, all of whom will be feeling the stresses and the strains of lockdown and COVID-19. So there's never been a more appropriate time to raise people's awareness of this.
And who is the workshop aimed at?
Everybody. It's aimed at you, it's aimed at me, it's aimed at the neighbours, it's aimed at those frontline workers, it's aimed at the shopkeepers, it's aimed at people working from home who don't have the social contact that they're normally getting with their work colleagues. It's aimed at leaders who are working from home who haven't got the support when they're making often very tough leadership decisions. Everybody. All of us at some point will have met somebody, whether we're aware of it or not, who's having emotional challenges, or who have had thoughts about taking their own life. And if we can, through our behaviours, prevent an incidence of somebody taking their own life, then great. So it's relevant to everybody.
It's an interpersonal skills programme.
Yes.
So, as you mentioned, we're under lockdown, so how is it delivered?
Face to face. Or during lockdown, face to computer screen. So through Zoom or Skype or whichever medium people are choosing to use. It's interactive, and that poses its own challenges over the internet, but there's lots of reflective stuff, so it is as this is right now.
Why did you choose For Mental Health particularly?
We'd been running wellbeing workshops for a number of years, drawing on a wide range of resources, getting good feedback. What I wanted was something that was more evidence-based, and For Mental Health have an evidence base as long as your arm. The work of Alice Cole-King, who's one of the team at For Mental Health, she spent her life's work looking at suicide prevention and emotional resilience. So that was a strong motivator. So there's the evidence base, there's the work of Alice Cole-King, there's the expert reference group, which includes other academics, it includes mental health professionals who are dealing with this kind of stuff on a daily basis, and it includes people with a lived experience, so people who have had thoughts about taking their own lives, who have shown immense emotional resilience to get them to where they are now, and whose learning can be shared for the benefit of everybody, you, me, anybody watching this.
Well, thanks for telling us about the workshop. Any final comments?
Yeah, it really struck home to me at a point last year when I was working with a client. It was a one-to-one coaching conversation, and he was part of a safety leadership program. He'd remembered some of the skills he'd picked up from the coaching module, and he'd had a member of his team who had come to him and was going through some real emotional difficulties. So my client just said, let's go to one side, and spent 5 or 10 minutes just listening to this person. And listening at that point in time was an act of kindness, because the guy went away, kind of sorted out his issues, came back and said to my client, what I didn't mention before was that I'd had thoughts about taking my own life, and you listening to me and showing some kindness at that moment in time probably prevented me taking my own life. And what could be better, really? We don't know, but an act of kindness might be the thing that makes the difference between tragedy happening and averting that tragedy.
Well, that's a lovely note to end on. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you. Stay safe.